This is RPM with Nyameka, and sitting here with me is Tamlin. Now, Tamlin, I want you to introduce yourself. Just tell us a little bit about who you are.
Hi everyone listening. I am Tamlin Diaz. I'm intern at Campus Crusade for Christ. I'm also an athlete, soccer player for a local club. That's about the gist of me. I don't think there's more.
Okay, how did you get into soccer?
I started playing soccer when I was like a child, and then I started playing soccer in the streets with boys, and I wouldn't say girls, because I was the only boy playing soccer, like as far as I can remember.
The only girl, you mean?
The only girl playing soccer.
Because you said that you were the only boy playing soccer.
Oh yeah, sorry. I was the only girl playing soccer. So, and then from there I played in primary school. I played soccer there as well, and then I think that's where people started noticing that I have a talent playing soccer. And then from soccer came athletics, and then from athletics I went to high school. I didn't play much soccer during high school, but I did athletics, and then went to university, so I had to decide whether or not I was going to play soccer or whether or not I was going to do athletics. Did athletics for a while, and then felt it was too demanding on my schedule. Went to soccer, and then I was between athletics and soccer the whole time. So then I stick with soccer, and then I'm still playing soccer today.
Is it?
Yes.
And just with your distance in athletics, what distances did you do? Or what athletic sports do you do, except for running, if there is another one?
I used to run the 100 meter.
Really?
Yes.
What?
And then I used to do the 200 and 400 meters.
What? Oh my goodness!
Actually, like in high school, our school, they were the top athletic school I think they call it
in the province.
Yes, and then they called it like something about the sea, like okay, let's just say we were the top school in our district. So then what my principal would normally do, he would throw you anywhere to get points. So if you're not doing hurdles, you never did hurdles in your life, you'd basically force you to do hurdles.
Wow.
So I wouldn't say I was forced, but I was asked to do 400 meter. I never liked it because I think it was too far and it was too draining and all those type of things. So then he asked me if I could do the 400 meters, and then I just did the 400 meters, but I honestly to this day still don't like the 400 meters. It's too much. It's the back straight and all those type of things. You have to maintain one pace, and at the 200 meter you have to somehow get pace from out of nowhere. So 400 meters is really not my favorite race, but I think the 200 is my favorite so far. The 100 meters, like, I think it's the most fastest race ever, even though my times aren't that fast. But just running a 100 meter race, you start, then you finish, and within that 100 meter there's no thinking going on.
You just want to
so
get to
it's
the
blank. And then you're like, what happened to my life in that 15 or 14 seconds or 13 seconds? But it was great seeing my time go from 15 to 30 to from 15 14 to 13, and then like 13 almost 12, and then that's when I stopped. So seeing that difference within a few months, I was actually quite fast. So, but then I stopped. I don't know why, but like I said, with my demanding schedule on university, and so then I just played soccer because I always felt like I'm never gonna lose the ability to play soccer. So whenever I got home, even if I did athletics, when I got home, always had a ball. Like they know me within my area. If they need a ball, I always have a ball. Because I always have a ball. I can't go out of.
What position do you play?
Currently I'm playing left back.
Left back, okay. So are you left-handed?
I to some extent forced myself to be left-footed. So I stopped focusing on my dominant right foot, and then I started practicing only with my left leg, and then I started looking like a left-footed player. And then recently I had to tell my coach, I'm actually not right-footed, because he asked me to do a specific thing where I should focus only on my left foot. So I had to cross the ball over.
Yeah.
And then he noticed something was odd. I didn't look comfortable crossing the ball over. And then I had to go to him, because he was angry with me to some extent, because he was frustrated as to like, you play left back, you can do all the things, but you can't cross, and that's like the most important element that the left back is supposed to have. So you have to change the game and all that. And then I told him, Coach, I'm actually not left-footed, I am right-footed.
Wow.
And then he was like, why didn't you tell me that? You could have saved me so much energy.
Wow. Oh, okay, that's good. I guess then your feet are ambidextrous then, in that case, if you can play with your left and your right.
Yes, and then I also started noticing I'm doing things with my left hand also all of a sudden, and I was like, what's going on? Like normally things that I do with my right hand, I now do with my left hand, and it's like this whole, at first it was imbalanced, but now I feel more balanced compared to like.
Wow.
But writing, I do still struggle writing with my left hand. I do try though. Like there are sometimes especially with the COVID-19 forms, you go to some places and they ask you to fill out forms, and I normally just take my left hand and just fill it out, because I feel like it's unnecessary to some extent. Like some of it are protocols, yes. Yeah. But then others are just like, why do you need all this information? Like then I would just go on and just
with your left. With your very ugly
left and right. Just scroll about.
Okay, Tamlin, what's on your playlist?
So I listen to a variety of music.
Okay.
I normally listen to things that people also recommend me. So I'd ask, what do you listen to as well? Yeah. So then people would say, I listen to this artist and that, and I would give it a try. And if I don't like it, then I would just like delete it or not listen to it again. Yeah. I recently started listening to the top 10 Brazilian songs, because I like the way Brazilians play soccer, and the music very much relates to their movement. So they have this type of vibe about their music, and also they play as well. So I just started listening to it, and I really enjoy it. And then I started listening to Ariana Grande as well. Her voice, especially for me, not necessarily like the words of the songs to some extent, but then her voice.
The ability with the voice.
Yes, she has a great voice, and then some songs are fun to sing along, just for the sake of singing. Sometimes I just feel like I just want to sing, and then just like, oh, this is fun. But I recently started listening to her, and not quite sure if there are some songs that I like.
Yeah. Any particular song, and why that song resonates with you at this point?
I think there's one particular song that I enjoy. Positions. There's a song, Switching Positions, but I think of it more on the field of play. So I would think of switching various positions. Like one time I'm playing left back, now I'm playing striker. I was thrown in so much positions, and I was just like, but then at the end of the day I thought, I'm doing it for the team, so let's just switch all these positions on the field. So that's how I think about that song. That's why I get like, I put it within that reflection of and then I think on my playlist that I keep on my playlist, that has been there for like as long as I can remember, is John Legend, Daniel Caesar, Hosea, I think, yes. And then I also listen to Maverick City and Chandler Moore, I think.
He's part of Maverick City Music.
Yes, but then he also
has his own album, I think. He just released an album recently.
Feelings.
Yeah.
That's a good album. So then I started listening to, and then there's like a mixture of real songs, and because I don't like dividing my playlist into secular and gospel music, but then I don't lean more to the secular music because I just don't like the words to it. So then I had a playlist where it's just like secular music, and then if I feel like just dancing, and then just like go there. But then I found a balance between, because there are some Christian gospel songs that you can actually dance to. So I was like, okay, then I found that, and I was like, okay, fine, this is nice. So I stick to that.
Oh, okay, that's good. And what do you do?
So currently I'm interning with Campus Crusade for Christ, and I'm also a student.
Mm-hmm.
And then also on my plate now is soccer.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's I wouldn't say, like, I think it's the biggest thing I'm focusing on because it's every day.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of have to schedule my day around it, and then within like academics, and then there's like assignments coming up and all those other things popping up. So I just but I normally schedule my whole routine around training and games.
Mm-hmm.
And then our league is also starting soon, so training is quite demanding as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically all I do for now.
All right. How does race and politics fit in the gospel? Do they fit into the gospel? In your opinion, obviously you give here what you think and what you would rate as your opinion. Do you think they fit? Do you think the two fit, or they should be separate?
I think I haven't determined whether or not they fit yet. But there are issues of race within the Bible as well.
Mm-hmm.
Issues that Jesus tackled most of all,
Mm-hmm.
to make the nations one.
Yeah.
And as you can see with the race now, it's very divided, because you get your white, you get your colored, and you get all this type of thing. So race within like the worldly perspective it's not the same as the way the gospel sees it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So and politics as well, it's also not the way Jesus would have wanted it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think the gospel really it tackles issues of race and politics. So do they fit? I don't think they do, because I think I wouldn't say the gospel is against those like race and politics, but as far as I have read, Jesus does want to make nations one. And also with there was one scripture in Mark as well where the one guy asked him if they should pay taxes.
Yeah.
And then Jesus was like, because he wanted to catch him with his words, and then Jesus was asking for a coin, and then he asked who's this on the coin. So for instance, within South Africa's perspective, it would be Nelson Mandela or the Springbok or whatever, depending on what you have in your hand. If you have a 10 rand, you would see Nelson Mandela.
Yeah.
And then he was like, then give to Nelson Mandela what is his, and then gives to God what is his.
Yeah.
So, but then I also think to some extent with regarding to politics is they praise the government and stuff like that, forgetting that God is like the one true king and stuff. So people also like worship money and stuff like that, where like God is like, don't do that, don't worship, like I am the one true king. So then doesn't necessarily gel.
They don't necessarily fit well together. You know, I had a conversation recently with somebody that said to me, which was something very interesting. They said that, like, they felt like, you know, after 1994 there was this whole reconciliation talk. It seemed there was like a concerted effort to make sure reconciliation happens, and what they were observing at the moment was that it has currently stopped.
Yes.
Would you say that is the case as well?
I think like
especially within the church, obviously within the church ranks.
I think with South Africa they wanted to practice Ubuntu, where we are only one if I am for you or something like that. I don't necessarily remember what it means, but yeah, in South Africa we practice Ubuntu, and it does go with what Jesus says, that you have to love your neighbor as you love yourself. But then yes, I have noticed that it stopped for a while, especially when it comes to, because apartheid has really created gaps within the races. So then whites, respectfully whites, would to my mind be superior to like blacks and coloreds. So me
They
being a
would see
colored
themselves as.
see themselves as
yeah.
superior, and normally growing up you'd see them living in areas like Rondebosch, and you would only think of going to those areas when you wanted luxury.
Mm-hmm.
So then it changed. So then, especially like, yes, now with black economic empowerment as well. So even the government is trying to close those gaps.
Mm.
So what it does at the end of the day is kind of favor one race upon the other. There is equal opportunity. I wouldn't say there is not equal opportunity. But then again, the government to some extent is playing catching up. So from like, if you are classified as particular race, and you see this happening, then you would feel like the government is favoriting one race to another.
Mm-hmm.
So then that's where Ubuntu stops. So then now I'm not for you. I want to help you necessarily because I'm trying to get ahead. That's to my mind what apartheid did. It created those gaps. So now at the end of the day, we playing catch up. So then I would rather help the next black person instead of helping the colored person. So we don't see each other struggle as much as we used to back in the day with the ANC standing together as one. So now it's just like, even within black communities as well, it happens. So it used to be blacks helping blacks, but now it's just like, no, I'm just gonna help. It's either nepotism, I'm gonna help my family, or I'm just gonna not help you at all.
And that's definitely not good. It's not helping us move forward. So then, how do your passions lead to the partnership and collaboration and also rebuilding of South Africa?
My passions normally lie in sports and academics.
Okay.
So there's a saying that goes, a child in sport is a child out of court. So then, I think that plays a major role from where I come from.
Yeah.
Because I have noticed in my experience, for instance, a boy playing soccer for, say, primary school, then he goes to high school, he starts to rebel, starts doing mixing with the wrong type of friends, starts getting into trouble, stops playing soccer, and he ends up in court. But say for instance he doesn't end up in court, but he nearly ends up in court, or he ends up damaging his life or his reputation, then he decides he's gonna do sports again, and you can see that instant change within his life. So that whole idea of a child in sport is a child out of court is definitely like one way of helping youth. And also at the end of the day, if you help youth empower themselves, it's going to help rebuild South Africa. And also like with education, Nelson Mandela said that education is the most powerful weapon used to change the world. And I normally use that in every essay I write when I want to get into university. But I believe in that because it has changed like my life, like for
it has expanded your horizon.
Yes, exactly. Given me knowledge, giving me opportunity as well. You know, because like the government normally like ask you to tick boxes. Level 1, okay, done, you're done with that. Okay, level 2, okay, fine, you're done with that. So now you can move on. So it's just like reaching milestones. And what education do, it helps you gain skills and knowledge, and then at the end of the day you're able to work, earn a living or whatever. Like tick the boxes for the government at the end of the day.
I guess even for yourself as well.
Yes.
If you got that empowerment. I like that this phrase, a child in sport is a child out of court. That's like a very, if you just want to expand it, it's very powerful. Now, in the practical sense for you, how would it look like? You told me that you're intern with Campus Crusade. How would it look like for you to actually make sure that a child in sport is a child out of court?
I think it could start within a community first. I think coaches, just becoming a coach for instance, there's so much children that has the ability to do sports, even if you don't have,
Mm.
just that idea of working on yourself physically, because it
Yeah.
helps. It creates mental fitness. It
Mm.
creates the endurance. At the end of the day, you're able to tackle things in life where you like. It gives you like empowerment at the end
Yeah.
of the day as well.
Yeah.
Makes you feel like I can do this, I can do that, and personally, like speaking, sports has done that for me.
Yeah.
Keeps you focused and
Mm.
mentally fit and all those
Wow.
type of things. So I think starting a team, like whether it be netball, rugby, soccer, or just athletics, and helping youth within my community stay fit. And also sports also helps. You can see different places that you travel a lot to this area, play against that team and that.
Yeah.
So I think just like gathering all the youth within one community and working on just like focusing on a particular sport as well, and also applying principles of the gospel
Yeah.
to them, exposing
Yeah.
them to the
Yeah.
to the gospel as well. I think it would definitely help them.
Yeah, you talked about using sport and applying the principles of the gospel. Tell me about your story in that regard.
So I think it was my second year of university, because my first year I told myself I'm not gonna play soccer because I'm not gonna do any type of sports. So I'm just gonna focus on academics, because I didn't know what university life was like, and for me it
Yeah.
was scary.
Yeah.
Coming from high school into university, at first I didn't even know I was just gonna make it, and pop up
Yeah.
there I was.
Yeah.
So the second year of university I started playing soccer. I stopped doing athletics and I started playing soccer.
Yeah.
And then a group of students came from the States, Athletes in Action,
Yeah.
and then one of them shared their testimony, and I could relate,
Yeah.
because I was struggling with issues of self-worth, just always being benched and
Yeah.
that type of thing, regretting the things I did in the past as well,
Yeah.
feeling that it affected my ability to play soccer to like now within that moment.
Yeah.
Then she shared a testimony and she mentioned her grandma. So she like touched on all the areas of my life as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, but one area I was lacking in is my relationship with God.
Mhm.
Like I knew because I was like, they would say, a loner.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew I think I grew up knowing God,
Mm-hmm.
but then my conversation with God increased, but I didn't exactly know what it was.
Yeah.
But then she shed light on it, and she actually told me that, like, she actually told the group that you can find strength from God, you can find your self-worth in Christ,
Yeah.
and all those things.
Yeah.
So then she said that they will be having ultimate training camp, and I knew then, I normally don't get involved in anything with soccer. If they say they're doing this and that, I would not give my number to anything. If they say they were getting t-shirts and that, I would just be like, okay, you guys can get the t-shirts. I wouldn't even force my number in the group or something like that. But I knew I had to get myself in that group, because at that point it was like I needed more of that little the word she gave me, because I knew I was onto something, but then she told me what I was onto, so I was like, okay, like within that whole moment I felt better. So that whole moment I felt hope, because I was in a dark place, especially coming back from not playing soccer for a period of time, seeing others with skills that I had, but I lost. And then just like, she made me feel like there was something more to it. So that's when I grabbed onto it, and then went to an ultimate training camp and focused on the principles, and then saw how I could apply it to my life. Went back, applied it to the areas of my life in sports and those type of things, and then it was good. It just gelled. And then I went back the other year, because I felt like I needed more of those principles, and I needed community especially, because again I was singling myself out, because I got the principles, but then I didn't have that fire wasn't burning as bright. So then I got myself mixed in the community again, just like that's how I got myself here.
That's a great story.
Yes.
And just like I just want to connect that with what you said, because you said a child in sport is a child out of court, meaning that somebody who is met at where they are, using sport but also using the principles of the gospel, that person can actually be built up into, I guess, a better person. You just told me now that sports builds mental strength, builds that obvious one, physical strength. Also, it builds your emotional strength as well. Thank you for those principles. And I just want to know now, if you were to be a president for 1 week, what would you do differently?
I think a week is too little.
Okay.
First of all, but I can work with
Sorry,
I can work with a week. I think for 1 week I would probably focus on getting rid of those politicians, those corrupt ones, who's just corrupting everything and making everything seem worse. I would probably focus on as well, especially coming from my community, I would focus on supporting as much people as I possibly can regarding food, clothing, and those type of things. Yes, and essentials and those type of things, going out to communities, just helping them out within that week. Because then I think I would have the power to do so, like deploy various people to various areas and stuff like that. Whereas if I wasn't, and I obviously could not have done all those type of things, like I would definitely target lots and lots and lots of areas.
Also, groundwork for you is much more important than making, obviously, yes, changes at the top, but also groundwork is much more important.
Yes,
all
definitely.
Right. Any parting words that you'd like to leave with our audience?
Not necessarily, no.
All right, so Tamlin, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate you being here, and all the best with everything that you're doing in your life.
Thank you, Nyameka, for having me.
Thanks.